That's great honor for us meeting Leah Hill at our ASBM Journey to C-Suite CEO Meet series. And this is one among the activities we do it for our students to get exposure from the industry practitioners. In line with that, today we are meeting Leah Hill. I think I could pronounce it separately, Leah Hill from New Zealand, right? And Ryman Healthcare. This kind of the project, when I read about her profile, I see the project which she is engaging as resident service manager, the chief manager of this particular project, serving the senior citizens in these continents. And it's really amazing to see that. And the thought, that ideas, I don't know who got that idea, and implementation is something, it's not easy. Making the seniors happy and cheerful is something is need for the hour here, and that should be done. And that project is emerged and started in New Zealand, and one of the leaders from that particular project is with us. Leah is here with us, and really amazing. I have no words to express my gratitude. And this conversation, something is new, and it's going to be very much experiential for our students from the new theme. And you people have to think out of the box going forward with the new kind of projects, something like what Ryman is doing, healthcare is doing now in those continents like Australia and New Zealand. And Leah is such the young, cheerful personality, and traveled around 12 years with this company she was just sharing with us. That's a great experience for you people learn from. That's really good opportunity for our students. Once again, our best wishes and gratitude on behalf of our chairman Sukumaran sir, and the managing trustee Mr. Praveen Kumar, and our faculty team and students of Adithya School of Business Management, Coimbatore, India. We extend our warmest greetings and welcome to Leah Hill. Thank you, Leah, for accepting our invitation and joining and gracing this occasion. It's a great honor for us.
You're very welcome. Pleasure to meet you all.
Yeah, can we hear a few words from you, where you started and your career, and a little about your background, so that we could start our conversations after that?
Sure. Yes. So I am originally from Northern Ireland. So I'm an immigrant to New Zealand myself. And when I arrived in this country, I was a young school student. I took myself through school and university. I've got a double major degree in a Bachelor of Business and Finance. And I found myself within Ryman because my parents actually both worked within Ryman Healthcare, and they explained their values and their core structures, and it's really something that aligned with me personally. And I've always had a bit of a soft spot for elderly people. I always really valued my grandparents, and they've taught me a lot of really great life lessons. So I applied for a job, and I guess I started working at a very young age, 14 years old. And I've worked my way up since then. So I started just serving the meals to the residents in the dining rooms and got to know them. I then made my way through to reception work, which I did for a couple of years. And it was also a great way to learn about the residents, understand where they'd come from, a lot from very esteemed, established backgrounds, very intelligent individuals in their time. So respected them, got to know them. Then I was promoted through the company to sales. And so I spent a little bit of time in sales for the company, which was great insight. It's good to know sort of all aspects of the company. And then I really missed the people, because in sales, you look after a client and then they buy the house and move into the village, and that's all you see from them. So I really miss the people contact and, the discussion and seeing them on a more regular basis. So then I moved to Grace Joel, where I am now, Grace Joel Retirement Village, as a resident services manager here. And yeah, this is where I reside today. And I feel very privileged to be working in a company like Ryman Healthcare, who their core value is to provide care that's good enough for our own parents. That's how they treat, that's the core foundation of the business, really. So yeah, I feel very proud to, you know, present that message on a daily basis and deal with residents and relatives and staff and contractors, which all help produce this valued company that I work for now. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's great, Leah. Yeah, that's a great satisfaction, soul satisfying service. You do it and you share it with us. Right, every day you treat people, you feel like you are treating your parents. That's a great message for all the youngsters to take it forward and take care of the senior citizens of this world. That's a real key for us. And that's a great project for our people to think about it in India. That's really, really needed over here. And we should think on it. And also the another note I have taken from you is you started very early, 14 years when you are 14. That's really amazing, serving the elders. So that's the right age. You have that affection with the parents and grandparents, and you start building that again, and that passion develops. That's a really a great message. And we shall go with kind of one-on-one questions and some discussions over here.
Yeah.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Jeevan.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, overseeing and coordinating the day-to-day activities of a retirement village is a challenging job. What are the skills that help you to manage your work?
I think first, a great question. I think first and foremost, you've got to have patience with dealing with elderly people, especially we deal with people with lots of different cognitive needs and abilities. So I think the number one key is patience in your day-to-day dealings with residents and their family members as well. Moving from community and your own home into residential care is quite an adjustment. So yeah, patience and kindness, of course, is always first and foremost. And then I would say time management. There's a lot of work that goes into running a village. We're looking after residents, about 350 residents, 150 staff, and also all of their family members that go along with that, and about 60 contractors on a day-to-day basis. So time management is key, and prioritizing is also important to make sure you get back to residents quickly, their family members quickly, and obviously prioritize anyone needing to come into residential care from acute hospital. The hospital rely heavily on us as an organization to help them free up hospital beds for people in the community who need it. So we home residents who need to move on to that next stage of their lives, which is residential care. So yes, to recap, patience, kindness, and good time management help.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, ma'am, why do you want to be part of healthcare industry?
Why do I want to be part of the healthcare industry?
Yeah.
Yes, I think it wasn't so much the healthcare that drew me in initially. It was, I did a lot of research into core values of corporations and which of those core values aligned with mine and my own. And it just so happened that that was healthcare for me. Could be very different for different people with different core values, but I really enjoyed the fact of giving back to our elders who have given a lot to the community, who have grown up in some troubling times. We have war veterans that are in our care floor who have served our country. So I think for me, the most important thing was giving back to those people and providing them with the care and the love and the support that they require now at this stage of their lives. And eventually, you know, a lot of our own children and our own families will eventually need perhaps residential care. So I suppose I like to think that I am, you know, giving back to the community and also giving back to my own family one day if they require residential care.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Mahalakshmi. Ma'am, how do you plan on a typical day, ma'am?
Planning a typical day, I like to think I'm a very organized person. So I think you've got to plan a day always in advance, sometimes a week in advance when you're looking after as many people as we do. So I think, as I said, time management's really important, prioritizing meetings with families, prioritizing our village objectives for the year, a month in advance, for example, and making sure that you have good structure to your day as well. So getting, you know, those timely tasks completed quickly, such as recruitment, payroll, occupancy for the care floor, making sure we're always up to date and our beds are full, because obviously the monetary value is very important to keep our village running. So I would think top priority is to just make sure you have structure to your day, plan in advance, and make sure you get all of your tasks done that you've adhered to during the day. And you know, a huge part of delegation is delegation in management. So making sure you filter down those expectations to your team in order to support you and having the best structure to your days, weeks, and you know, months with the company.
Yeah, it's like multiplying your time, delegating people. Yeah, you give early, the things will get done earlier. So everyone will start working. And
yeah, exactly.
That's really important message, delegation of authority, delegation of responsibility, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to empower your team. You know, we can't do everything as human beings, especially in managerial roles. There's a lot of pressure and a lot of expectations. So you've got to empower your other team members to take the lead on some things. And of course, that will then align us for the future managers and future leaders of the company as well.
We can't do everything by ourselves, right? We need to allocate, delegate, and empower. These are the two keywords. That's really great. You are practicing it.
Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Hari Krishnan. Madam, as a health service manager, have you managed this pandemic situation effectively?
Yeah, great question, and very sorry. Go ahead.
Ma'am?
Yes, have you finished your question? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. How did you manage your this pandemic situation effectively?
Okay, yes, great question and very relevant to the current times. Of course, in New Zealand, we're currently at red level restrictions. And what that means for healthcare is obviously with Omicron looming in the community, and the residential sector is the most vulnerable to the virus. So we have a COVID Go plan in place, which has a lot of structure and materials to help us in what to do if there was a case within the village. So we have structure on what to do for the first hour, the first 24 hours and 72 hours and so forth. But mainly at the moment, while we have kept COVID out of all Ryman facilities, and how we've done that is daily declarations every day from the staff, where they have to answer a series of questions to make sure that they are fit and well, haven't been in contact with anyone with COVID-19, and that they haven't been unwell or visited any locations of interest. We also do temperature checks every morning to make sure the staff are feeling well. We have face visors and masks on our care floors, and the staff wear those 24/7 during their shift, as well as all of the other auxiliary staff, including myself, are wearing N95 masks to keep us safe as well. We obviously teach practice of protection with our staff in the community too. So we encourage our staff to be safe, making sure they sign in using the COVID tracing app and protect themselves when they're out. And we have 100 people limit in the village during the red level. So we try to reduce the numbers so that we don't have any super spreader events. And we also do rapid antigen testing, which is a 20-minute COVID test to check any staff or any relatives or contractors that may potentially pose a risk prior to them coming into the care floor. And we do weekly surveillance testing, which is the saliva testing on all of our staff to make sure that we are testing and surveilling that none of our staff have all of a sudden developed symptoms And of course, with COVID, you can be asymptomatic, so not showing any symptoms and be completely unaware you're carrying the virus. So those sorts of testings protect us for the unknown.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Very well planned way of handling, because dealing with senior citizens, no? Yeah, that's really great.
Yes. Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Angel. How do you ensure consistency in quality of your service, ma'am?
Sorry, Angel, can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear.
How do you ensure consistency in quality of your service?
Yes, how we measure that is we do consistent surveying for different groups within the village. So we have surveys that go out to our relatives, surveys that go out to each department in the village, so care, floor, and independent residents. And we also have staff surveys as well. And those ask an array of questions that would obtain to us understanding in more detail what some of the troublesome areas or the things that people are not enjoying so much within the village, so that we can always improve on those. And it also asks them on things that they're enjoying in terms of being a part of the village. And one of the key questions that we specifically ask relatives and residents is, would you recommend us as a residential care facility for a family member, a friend, or member of the public? And that's a really significant question for us to consider and analyze to make sure that we're always providing the top quality and services that we adhere to. And our Net Promoter Score data helps us in doing that. So Net Promoters measure the voters for the village, the neutrals, the ones that are sitting on the fence that are not 100% happy, but they're also not happy with the services, so they're in the middle, and also our detractors, which is an area that we take very seriously. That could be someone that's not happy with a particular service or thinks we could improve on a service. So that feedback is vital to us understanding and analysing our services and making sure that we do improvements. We also have corrective action plans, which is a really good tool if we do identify an area that's not performing well in those surveys that I mentioned. We conduct corrective action plans, which help structure what the issue is, what some of the feedback is to improve it, and how we're going to aim towards improving that certain system or service. So those are really vital and hold us accountable to correcting anything that's below our level of standards. So those are really key for us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Corrective action plan, isn't it? Corrective action plan?
Yes.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, can you share the method you follow? Can you please share your views on business ethics in healthcare industry?
Sure. Yes. Obviously, in healthcare, it's really important for us to follow an ethical structure. Especially what we follow in healthcare is the Code of Rights, the Code of Health Rights for Residents. And we follow those under the Ministry of Health in New Zealand. As a result of those, we're audited on a regular basis, both internally and externally, by our organisation and by the Health Standards Organisation, to make sure we adhere to those. Those align with our business ethics to make sure that we provide safe care, that we make sure we are employing the correct staffing into our vital roles, such as registered nurses, caregivers, and managerial roles. So that structure all aligns with the Ministry of Health in New Zealand, and obviously Ryman Healthcare hold that in high regard. And we're kept up to standard with those by being audited, as I said, internally and externally, to make sure that we do meet those ethical standards. And I think it shows very clearly in our business motto of having care that's good enough for mum and dad, that we take those very seriously. And we discuss those on a regular basis, right from the beginning. You know, employing a staff member, we talk about our business ethics and our health and disability standards that we have to meet. We display videos on a regular basis through in-service training with our staff. And we also educate residents on those as well. We display them on our notice boards on the care floor, which are available for next of kin family to read further on if they are not sure. And we are also very open and transparent in terms of complaints. So we had feedback forms available on all of our floors. So if anyone is questioning or struggling with any aspect within the village or thinks that we haven't met a standard, then we're very transparent about them making that apparent to us anonymously or confidentially on the feedback forms, which then get processed through the channels and dealt with by management. So. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Hi, ma'am. Ma'am, can you spend some more time with us, ma'am, if you have?
Yes, sure. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am, as a service manager, ma'am, what are the challenges that you face while conducting your work, ma'am?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the main struggles at the moment, obviously with the current COVID situation, is the risk of a virus coming into the village. Obviously, that could cause catastrophic events with our residents in terms of fatalities. Fortunately, we have a really robust vaccination program. So about 98% of our residents are fully vaccinated and the other 2% are medically ineligible. So that keeps us really protected, but that would be probably the riskiest and most vulnerable part of the business currently. Another sector which is concerning is obviously migrants finding it even more troublesome now to come to New Zealand for work. So we're experiencing major nursing shortages at the moment within New Zealand. And of those new graduates that are graduating from our universities, unfortunately are being snapped up by the DHB because obviously the hospitals are in dire need of nurses as well. So even healthcare assistants too, you know, a lot of our healthcare assistants are immigrants. And that's a major cultural acceptance from Ryman. We have a lot of multicultural staff working in our business, and that's how we operate. There's not many New Zealanders that apply for our positions. So probably the second most difficult part of my job is to try to find good staff and have those staff supported in terms of visa and immigration. So we do a lot of work with immigration to support people coming from overseas and getting their work visas. Because we care about those staff and they're really the backbone of the industry at the moment. So those would be the top two.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Ma'am, hi ma'am. Ma'am, as a manager, how do you motivate the employees to adapt to changes, to resist it?
Yeah, good question. We do a lot of work. I'm involved heavily in the human resourcing with. So what we do is we have an open door policy, and to try and encourage staff to come and see us whenever they have a concern. We don't want any staff to be fearful of management, that we're these big corporate structures that cannot be spoken to, you know, person to person. That's not who we are. We're a very open book and encourage anyone to come and see us if they have a problem. So that's a great comfort for the staff, especially in these times that are so unknown. We also do a lot of work with the staff, supporting them not only monetarily, but also with benefits. So we have a staff benefits card here at Ryman, which gives them major discounts at different retailers. So that's a great benefit of being with Ryman. It goes all the way from Specsavers. If our staff have glasses, they get discounts with glasses, all the way through to bank loans where they get discounts as well. So that's a great way to show the staff we care. We also do gift vouchers every year for Christmas time. They get a $75 pack and save voucher, which is a supermarket here in New Zealand, which helps them with that Christmas food shopping. And every month we have full staff meetings where we acknowledge their birthdays, give them birthday cards, which is handwritten by the management to thank them for their service. And we also do anniversary vouchers and cards as well to thank them for their years of service. Grace Joel has been open for 19 years. And we have some staff that have been with us for 19 years. So we acknowledge their time. And, you know, that feeds back to us, and staff really know that we care, and we're not just, they're just not another number. They're actually part of our family. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
How do you maintain a healthy work-life balance, ma'am?
I'm not sure if I've mastered that one yet, but yeah, it's certainly something that comes with time. I would say they make it very easy for you to work anywhere, which is great. You know, we have surfaces that can be taken home, and we can work from anywhere, which is a good and bad thing at times, because it can be hard to switch off. But I feel like the best thing that you can do is have a really well supported team, train your team, and as I mentioned before, delegate your tasks fairly, and your team will respect that. And when you're not there and someone needs to fill in, they will, you know, you have to respect and have faith in them that they will be able to do it, because you've trained them well and explained your expectations. I think that's the only way you can have a really fair work-life balance. As a manager, we're always on call and always there to help, but it is good to have that backup and that team behind you that can step in and do just as good of a job. My manager, regional manager above me, always reminds me a great sign of a manager is that when you're not there, the team function just as well. And you should take great pride in that. A lot of people take take the opposite effect to that and feel as though that they have to be there in order for it to be successful. But yeah, we tend to disagree. We tend to think you should have your team trained to deal with every situation just as well as you would, so you can have that work-life balance.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, you mentioned about the cultural diversity in your organization. How do you manage workplace diversity in your organization?
I think we're very open to all cultures. I think because Ryman have such a good training structure that we take people on that have no experience in caregiving. We recently hired a gentleman from Nepal who had no caregiving experience before, but he discussed in his interview his caring nature towards his grandparents who lived with him in the final stages of their lives, which really touched us. And I think as long as you have a great training structure like we do, good buddying and orientation systems and inductions, we have a lot of online platforms which goes through many different scenarios of what to do as a caregiver, what you experience as a caregiver, and the realities of that really help train these staff who are inexperienced and come from different countries with completely different standards in terms of healthcare, trains them up to Ryman standards. And really, we, at the end of the day, have a great team because of it. They bring forward new ideas and things that are formally acceptable in their countries, which is great for us because we're not only multicultural with staff, we're multicultural with residents. So a lot of our residents coming in now are from China or are from India. And a lot of our staff, of course, are from China and India. So they have a really great relationship and can adapt things from their own cultures along with Ryman standards to make it a great place to live for them. So yeah, that's how we manage it. We look at the people, not so much where they come from, and have good training backgrounds as well.
Thank you, ma'am.
I was a little curious about it as well, Leah. So you see, we are talking about serving senior citizens, right? So they will have some traditional kind of mindset and developments and rigidity and adaptability and all those things. And coming back to the people coming from across the world to work over there, they will have to work with your standards. I mean, Ryman standards, cannot work on their own standards. That's the right culture, I think, should put on them and train on them to be ready to work towards. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that will be, is it, do you feel it difficult or it's easy to make them adapt?
I think sometimes it's hard, but we come from a real holistic approach to care. So we have individually adapted care plans, is what we call them. So we sit down with the resident and their family members to really adapt a care plan that's completely structured and focused around them. Of course, we have core structure that has to be followed in terms to meet staffing requirements and shift times and such. But we really do try to adapt based on their likes, dislikes, their hobbies, even go back as far to what they did as a career, and we adapt our programs and our outings and entertainment around those things. We have many different cultural events throughout the year to adapt to all of those different cultures. And yes, I think initially it's really hard for someone to adapt if they're not used to residential care, but once they see the amount of effort and the quality that goes into adapting and focusing those care plans around them and their cultures and their likes, they solely adapt. You know, if someone wants to be put to bed at a specific time because that's what they were used to in the community, we adapt to that. So yeah, it really helps having that great care plan structure in place.
Maybe some socialization programs also might help them to go for it. Yeah. Do you have any structured socialization programs at your place?
Yes, we have a activities calendar that gets produced every month, which the residents receive copies of, our families receive a notification of online, which has key things. So exercising, sensational senses for the memory, memory games, lots of different cooking, which is adapted to different cultures, which is also inputted by our staff from those different areas around the world. They give us ideas on what to cook to bring back memories for those residents. Making memories is also a key activity that we do every month. And so that could be going back in time and to the 1980s, 1970s, talking about what happened back then, how they dressed, etc. So we do lots of forward planning, forward thinking to adapt to their needs.
Oh, that's really great. Getting back to that older generation and their living times and getting them to educate, all those things is a great plan you all have. That's really great. Maybe another one question or something. I think we are taking so much time.
That's okay.
Ma'am, can you please describe your leadership style?
My leadership style, yes, we recently did some leadership style coaching not long ago. It was called a LEAP program, which all the managers within Ryman attended. So I would say, so there was lots of different structures, right? You're either quite a direct leader, you're either more of a conscientious leader, so more of a thinker and plan later, or there's more of a people type of leader that leads towards, more towards people structure and having input from the team members. So I think I fell right between direct and intellectual and conscientious in terms of the leading, which taught me that, I'm not afraid to make decisions or make calls, but I'm also quite considerate of time and other people and how that will impact the people. And what the leadership program was all about is how we adapt to other leadership styles and how we feed into that and work well as a team. No specific leadership style is wrong, but it's how you adapt and understand what you need to work on as a leader in terms to improve, because there's always room to improve. No one's perfect as a leader. So that was a really great tool, and something I recommend you all to do is to understand your own leadership styles and how you would work together with others to improve on those.
Please share a little more on that, Leah, that particular leadership aspect and the program you have learned. Maybe it will help us to understand better and go for further learning.
Yeah, it was something that we did from a subcontractor here in New Zealand, but they called it LEAP, L-E-A-P. So basically it was a leadership program that we all went on to understand what the different key aspects of leadership are. and how different people's minds work. So as I said before, you can be quite a direct leader and not so much ask for other input. You can go ahead and make those tough calls when needed. The more intellectual type of leader and conscientious thinker is someone that thinks outside the box and may take a little bit longer to make that decision or those tough calls based on their collective thinking and wanting to have all of the data before making a call. So that's someone that takes a little bit more time to make those calls. The people leader is someone that takes into consideration all other team members, really cares about the people. So instead of making that direct call, they will go out and ask for other feedback first. So a collective, if you like, of opinions before making their own. And so all of those different styles were really interesting, and we all mapped on the course where we were. And at the start of the course, we mapped where we were. And at the end of the course, after understanding all of those different approaches and learning why other people think in a specific way, we adapted our approach, and we found that we were either moved very slightly in our leadership styles or quite a big jump in terms of the leadership styles. So that was really significant for us. And that's something that Ryman is doing with all of their new leaders that come on board. They're going through this course to make sure that we really understand how different people's approach works, because we can sometimes see someone who's a direct leader as very abrupt and not approachable and not really understand why their mind thinks in that specific way if we're a people structured leader. So yeah, it's about understanding those different approaches and adapting the way we think so that we have we all come together with a collective view.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah.
Sir, I have one last question. Ma'am, can we know about your future career goals?
Yeah, sure. The next natural progression in a Ryman village would be a regional manager, which is someone who's responsible. Obviously, we are responsible for the running Grace Joel, which is a franchise village within Ryman Healthcare. The next progression as a regional manager would be responsible for multiple villages, so between 4 to 5 villages, either within New Zealand or Australia. So I suppose my next career goal would to be there one day, but I'm very happy in my position as I am. I've been here for nearly 4 years as a resident services manager, so I really enjoy learning from the ground up. It's important to understand how a village is run effectively and well, before moving on to that next responsibility of looking after multiple regions. So it's a huge dedication and a huge leap. But I will say that, it's great to be in an organization that supports growth and supports career growth and care about the next future leaders, which Ryman certainly do. So make sure that in whatever you progress into doing, find a company that you agree with their core values and you can see movement and growth for your own careers, because it's really important to make sure that you're in a company that's valuable of your time and your energy and many years to come, hopefully. So, yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
I think it's time for us to complete it, close it, guys. I think we have taken 15 additional minutes from Leah Hill. That's a really great support for us, especially our students of Adithya School of Business Management. And I like the way you explained about the leadership parts of Leah, because usually people talk about going on autocratic and kind of people-oriented leadership and so on. But the things are getting changed now because the business models are getting changed. You are moving towards more like work from anywhere. Is that option you mentioned also? So like people say 9 to 5 is what the time you should work, but now people, it's not about committing 9 to 5. It's 24/7. It's the mantra of a success, right? It's a mantra of a success. Anyone, especially great leaders like you, that's something people have to adapt, understand, and move forward. Basically, people call it situational leadership, and you call it adapting multiple kinds of styles and developing your own style is something which will help people to nurture better in their career, right? So, and the training is another important element which you have mentioned with Raymond is something great. And you get people from multiple nations and you make them adapt to the culture of your company and your clients' expectations. That is something, another important element which people have to learn, how the strong culture is getting created from diversity workforce. That is another key element we have observed, we learned from this discussion today. Then you have that open door policy, and that another admiring thing, no fearful on management is something today's era, which people have to take it. You can't make people afraid on your style and the way you lead and things like that. You have to make and free and easy, adaptable, and like a friendly coach. As a coach, you have to lead the team, being part of the team, being part of the members, and you just go in front, first step, and all the other steps people follow us, right? So that's a way to go for practicing workplace diversity, and managing the team empowerment is another key element. Delegating and empowering people will make the organization great and success. And staffing overseas, which is what you are, because it's not easy to get all the workforce at one place. You have to get from all over the world, and of course cost effective also, you have to go for it. Yeah, that's another key element we have learned about. Ethics you spoke about, and the corrective measures, bringing quality service. Lot of conversation have taken place within this shorter time. And thank you so much for your contribution and leaving all your priorities ahead out and coming to share with us. That is also a great service and great support, which we could see giving back to the society is the motto you mentioned. That's really, you are doing it. That's a real great opportunity for us. Thank you so much, Leah. And once again, our heartfelt greetings and wishes and congratulations for your new life, and have a great journey ahead. And we will keep in touch, and we welcome with our open arms. We welcome you to India, to our institution at any possible time. And we are here to greet you and accommodate here for a while, if you are able to come over here. Yeah, thank you so much, Leah. Take care.
Thank you very much, and good luck to all of you. I'm sure you'll do very well, and thank you for your time as well. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Have a great time. Good evening to you. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
Nice
much,
meeting
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
It was
Take
pleasure.
care.
Thank you, ma'am.